before you answer.
Okay, hi, my name is Celeste. I believe business etiquette is the way you conduct, the appropriate way in which you are to conduct yourself in a business setting or in a professional setting. Um, when you think about etiquette, it's really the do's and don'ts of the way you carry yourself and your behaviors. So, yeah, that's what I think it is.
Excellent, Celeste. Thank you. I think I'm going to take this. You can take over from here on out for this session. That was an excellent response. Anyone
Oh,
wants to add to it?
yeah, miss me.
Who's
Sherwin.
me? Thank you,
Sherwin Joseph.
Sherwin.
So business etiquette is a set of written and unwritten rules that guides polite, respectful behavior in a professional setting, which shapes a co-worker and bosses, which also refers to clients.
Nice. Thank you, Sherwin. It sounded like you Googled that just now for me. Did you?
No, no, miss, no. I did business.
Very nice. So both answers are correct. So business etiquette is a set of accepted professional behaviors, guidelines, and unwritten rules for interactions within a workplace that encompasses communication, appearance, and conduct to foster respect, professionalism, the norms and expectations of your workplace. So it helps you to communicate effectively. It helps you to collaborate smoothly and earn the respect of your colleagues and leaders. So, following these guidelines helps to build a respectful environment. It improves your communication, it enhances your professional image, and ensures that you have a smooth workplace operation. So, there are key elements included in polite communication, punctuality, appropriate dress, a well groomed appearance, and respectful body language. So we're going to go through a little bit now as to why it's so important. And again, before I reveal this slide, do I have any persons here that are currently working? I'm back on the Zoom, so I could probably see by a show of hands how many persons are currently employed or have been employed before. Or is everyone still in school? Okay, so seeing the chat here, Kyla, Crystal gave me a thumbs up. Okay, so we have some persons that would have been employed before. Can you then, I want to lean on you a bit. Can you tell me why this is important based on your experience in the workplace from what you've seen and lived? Any one of you? Yes, Kyla. Unless your hand is still up from saying that you did work, but I'll pick on you since it's still up.
Hi, Miss. Can I answer?
Yes.
The question is the importance of it, right? And
Yeah,
what you
and I
recommend?
want from your perspective, because if you've worked before, you would have been in an environment where you see it happening in real life. So tell me why you think it's important from your perspective.
I think it's important to maintain a certain level of respect while you're working with other people to like reduce the amount of misunderstandings that they could have while you interact with people that you work with.
Nice. I love that answer. Thank you so much, Asia.
Welcome.
So I'm seeing some responses. I'm seeing gained experience from other workplaces, mutual respect and productivity when someone is disrespectful or out of line. A lot of time and resources are used up unnecessarily. Yes, I agree with that. Sometimes it feels like a little bit of a waste of time when there are things that you quote unquote should know, right? So, why is it so important? The first thing is it creates a professional atmosphere. So, it really helps to establish a work environment that is respectful, positive, and productive. It improves communication. So, good etiquette ensures that messages are clear, respectful, and effectively delivered. So, that helps in preventing misunderstandings. It enhances professionalism. So, adhering to etiquette rules presents you as a polished, reliable, and capable professional. It boosts career success. So, it's a valuable soft skill that improves relationships and can propel you to forward your career. and it fosters better relationships. So it builds trust and respect among coworkers, clients, and managers, which leads to stronger business relationships. So the next couple of slides that we're going to go into are the key aspects of business etiquette. And we're going to break each of these down so that we can spend some time in it and properly understand. So these are the 5 key aspects that I would have listed out. Now, there are so much more, but I think these 5 are really important for us to touch on. So the key aspects of business etiquette would be communication, dress and appearance, timeliness, interpersonal skills, and respect for shared spaces. So the first thing we have here is communication. So with communication, clear and respectful communication is key. So whether it is you're speaking in a meeting or you're sending an email, or your tone and your choice of words matter. So you want to use professional language, both verbal and written. Active listening shows that you value others' input, and thoughtful writing helps avoid misunderstandings. So sometimes you really want to think about what you send before you hit send, right? So you want that you are including polite language when you're conversing, maintaining eye contact, speaking clearly and respectfully. You want to use appropriate tone of voice in person, on the phone, and in emails. Because I know if we experience that just through texting, WhatsApp, you know how so many times we could misinterpret someone's tone when they probably saying a joke and you're thinking that they're being, mean or aggressive, and you're like, is everything okay? And it's like, no, I'm joking. We can misinterpret tones over emails. So it's very important that we word our emails or we structure it properly so that there is no misunderstandings. Emails and messages are often your first point of contact. So a well-written message reflects your professionalism. Timely responses also show that you're organized and you're also respectful of other person's time. And when you're doing your messages, you want to keep it concise and you want to keep it professional. You're going to use clear subject lines and greetings. Again, be mindful of tone, actively listen, and avoid interruptions. So I'm going to do a scenario here for you now, and you are going to select for me which answer. So I think for this one, we could probably put this in the chat and then let's discuss a little bit more. So this activity is called Would You Send It? So this is the scenario. You need to ask your manager for an update on a report. These are the options, and I want to know which options you're going to use to send, so you could probably put your answers in the chat. So option A, well, I'm seeing the answers already coming in, but I'll read it out. So option A, hey, did you finish the report yet? B, hi, inserts the manager name. Hope you're doing well. Just following up to check if there's an update on the report. Please let me know when you have a chance. Thank you. And option C, I need the report now. So I am getting an overwhelming responses of B, which is a very, very good sign. Grateful that that the answer is B. So question now to you. What makes option B more professional? So you can unmute now and let's discuss what makes option B more professional.
Hey, miss. Oh,
You can
no.
just say your name because I'm not on the screen right now, so I'll know who's speaking to me. Okay, now no one
Hi,
is speaking
this
to
is
me.
Jolene. I
Hi,
feel like
Jolene.
option B is more professional because it uses like professional language and it uses the person's name. So it's like you're not talking to a dog, obviously. It wants to use the person's name in a way. And like you're
Right.
asking, you're not like, forcing them to tell you. Like you're asking, you're making sure you want their opinion and stuff. And it just sounds more professional overall.
Nice. Thank you so much, Jolene. So yes, use of the name is good. And one thing I want us to look at, who are we sending this email or message to? Manager, your boss. I'm seeing Aaron saying that, right? So
Sounds
again, anyone wants to jump in? What makes option B more appropriate?
It sounds like the person is talking to a subordinate to me.
You think option B makes it sound like you're talking to a subordinate?
Yeah, well, like if they're asking a subordinate for a report that they were supposed to do, it doesn't
So how
look
would you?
completely formal with the way they
Mhm.
use hi. So I presume that it would be a subordinate
Well,
because
so these scenarios that you are sending these messages, but you're reaching out to your manager for it. So if you think that it looks like this, then you tell me, Asia, how can you tailor this message to send to your manager to make it look better? Because you are the person that has to do the report and you need some updates and you need that information from your manager. So how would you make this better?
I feel like I would use a more formal greeting, not
Mhm.
really hi. And then the same wording, just different formatting. And I think it's pretty well put together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you just adjust the greetings for it to be a little bit more formal.
yes.
Nice,
Oh,
good.
and I can also say like good day or good morning or good afternoon.
Yeah.
Right, good. I start all my emails or messages with that, especially if it is I'm messaging someone that is, higher than me. So seeing some messages in the chat, option B is a more formal text and it's appropriate for the work environment. Seeing because of the tone, it goes straight to the point without being pushy. Good. All very good responses. And I mean, this is a bit of a tricky one, right? Because, it's your manager and you need to get some feedback from a report. How do you properly ask your manager for this without feeling pushy? But this is a really nice way to structure it because, I mean, one, that's your manager. So they know that you're working on the reports and you also need an update. So this is a good formatting. And like you all said, you can update the greeting if this is a little too informal. It's not comfortable with you. You do something a little more formal. Hi, good morning, X, Y, and Z. Um, by chance or following up, is there any update on the report? Let me know when you have a chance, so it's on their time now. So looking at option A and option C, how would you all rewrite this? Anyone wants to give me an example of
Hi,
how they would rewrite this?
it's Julian. I'll probably say, hey, hello, good morning, Miss wherever or Mr. wherever. Can you give me an update or a status on where the report is going? And if by chance you're finished yet? And thank you. Have a good day. And yeah.
Okay. So working on Jolene's response, do we have a thumbs up or do we think it could be adjusted just a little bit? Looking in the chat. Not seeing any responses. Did I lose you all? Okay, so Christian is giving you a thumbs up. I'm seeing some thumbs up coming up. Okay, so good. So I'm seeing Onisha saying that she would adjust it. So Onisha, if you don't mind unmuting your mic and tell me how you would adjust it. Are you able to use your mic? Okay, so Anisha can't unmute. Okay, if you can type, go ahead and type what you would say. And I'm seeing Sherwin also saying that he would adjust. So Sherwin, let me hear from you. I know your mic is working. So tell me what you would do differently or how you would adjust it.
So basically, I would start off with, hi, good day, how are you doing? Keeping that same format. And I would like to ask them the updates on the reports. And afterwards, I ask them about the reports and I get the updates. I would say yours respectfully or yours sincerely as a matter of respect.
Nice. So some respectful tone. So all of y'all are more or less on the right track, I'm seeing Nathaniel saying, I hope your week is going well. I wanted to quickly check in and see how the report is coming along. Good. So requesting an update on the status of the report. Good. So all of these are good answers. And then what you will also realize too is after a while when you're working with your manager, you all will eventually tend to build a rapport. And it may not need to be as formal, but always respectful. Always respectful. Okay, guys? So I'm seeing really, really good responses here. And I'm not in disagreement with any of them. Small tweaks. So my manager's name is Shari. So I would say, hi, Shari. I'm hoping to see if I would firstly start by saying when my deadline is. I'm hoping to complete this report by end of day. By chance, do you have any updates on the report? Let me know when you can, or something like that. Because one, I am also letting her know that there is a deadline that we're working with. And I'm I'm not just harassing you for reports. And I know that you're my manager and you have a lot of things on your desk, but this is something that we kind of need to have done, and we continue to keep it respectful. So very good responses from each of you. So let's move on to the next activity. And I want you guys to fix this message for me. So you can rewrite it, or you could unmute your mic and let me know. But the message is I can't come to the meeting, something came up. That's it. That's just the message. Let's say you're sending that to a manager or to a coworker. How would you rewrite this message so that it sounds professional and respectful? Okay, so I'm seeing April, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
So in my case, I will ask the manager. First, I will explain to the manager saying, hi, good day, Mr. James. I know that we have a town meeting scheduled for so time, but let's say my child is ill at the moment. Could I at least get a feedback after the meeting, depending on the importance of it, or because I would not be able to attend, or maybe I could also say, so due to an emergency in the family, I'm not able to attend. Would I be able to be briefed briefly on another day?
Perfect, April. Thank you so much. I feel like did you see my deck before I uploaded it? Sherwin, go ahead. Actually, I think someone had their hand up before you, Sherwin, but they put it down. Who was it? Yes,
I don't know.
Melchizedek, you had your hand up.
So, what I would change about this message, I would say, good morning or good afternoon. I know that there was supposed to be a meeting today, or on this certain day, but I'll explain to them that due to unseen circumstances, I would not be able to attend the meeting, and I sincerely apologize for this. Then I would ask if I could be debriefed afterwards.
Nice. Good. Thank you, Melchizedek. So I'm seeing some responses coming into the chat. And okay, so Nathaniel, unfortunate, unexpected conflict, won't be able to make a meeting. Apologize for the short notice and inconvenience. Unable to meet.
Miss, I think I have one to know.
Who's Sherwin? Sorry, go ahead, Sherwin.
I using my old former teacher name, right, Miss?
Okay, that's no problem.
So I will put it like this. Hello, Mr. Ravi. I regret that I will be unable to attend today's meeting. Could we please reschedule for a time that works for everyone? Thank you for understanding.
Okay, nice. I like that. However, Sherwin, what if this is a meeting that cannot be rescheduled because let's say it's a now I will share this personally, and sometimes that I won't say that that always works well depending on, let's say, the large scale of the meeting, because sometimes we would have had meetings where we throw out to all staff and some persons can't make it and they ask to reschedule the meeting. And the first thing I think of is, why would I reschedule a meeting for 100 people if you cannot make it? That does not seem to be my problem. And that's realistically what I think, right? So with rescheduling, I would say that definitely depends on one, the large scale of the meeting and who is in attendance. If it's an important meeting where you are one of the persons that has to present or a key person in the meeting, then definitely suggest a reschedule to everyone involved. But I won't always say that a reschedule will be the appropriate response. And again, that is also dependent on the scale of the meeting. But I'm seeing some very good responses, and I know that your hands are up, but I do want to go through these because we have a lot more to go through. So I'm just going to put here what an example of the response would be like. And someone would have actually said it perfectly earlier. Hi, person's name. I apologize, but I'm unable to attend today's meeting due to a scheduling conflict. I'll review any notes shared afterwards and follow up on any action items that are assigned to me. So I thought that was a really good response someone said with regards to asking for the notes or to debrief afterwards, because it's also showing them that I'm not just skipping a meeting. I really do have a conflict or something came up, but I do intend to work on whatever it is was supposed to initially be discussed in this meeting afterwards, and I'll get back to you with that details. But overall, I'm seeing some excellent responses from you. So let's go through a little activity here, and you will tell me the best channel, as in where it is this message should be sent. So the options are email, Teams message, call, or a meeting that's in person, right? So the first one, let's go through one. You need to send a formal update to your manager and keep a written record. Where is the best channel to send this message?
Email.
Okay, hearing email, email, email. All right, seeing those responses coming in. Let's see if you are correct. That is right. So once it is you need any written record or you need to have formal updates, email is your best channel. Scenario 2. You need a quick answer from a teammate about where a file was saved. Where's the best channel? So I'm seeing some mixed answers. So I'm seeing call, I'm seeing Teams, call, Teams, Teams, call. Okay, so let's see. So that best channel would be Teams, but you can also do a quick call as well. So once it's your coworker, again, the formality levels would vary based on whom you're speaking to. So if it's a teammate, you just shoot them a message, or if it's easier for you to give them a quick call, you give them a quick call. Scenario 3, there is confusion between team members and messages are just going back and forth. What's the best channel to have a conversation?
Meeting.
Okay, so I'm seeing meeting, meeting, meeting. Let's see. So a call or a meeting, that's correct. Because sometimes, like I said, things get lost in translation when you're sending messages. It's easier to just have that conversation either face-to-face or on the phone. Let's go to number 4. You need to share a sensitive concern or give constructive feedback to someone. Where would you have that conversation? Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of mixed answers here. So I'm getting email or call, meeting, in person, call, in person, meeting. So you can see their body language, no calls with sensitive info. Okay, so let's see. So private conversation or meeting, because again, it's an issue that you have where it is you have to give feedback. That's not something that anyone would want to have out in the open. So you would definitely have a one-on-one with that person. And then finally, oh, I already revealed it before, guys. I'm sorry. I ruined it. But you need to remind a group about a deadline, best channel, and I revealed the answer, which would have been either email or Teams. So what the takeaway is with regards to the communication is professional communication, it doesn't always have to be overly formal, but it should be clear, it should be respectful, and it should continuously be accountable. So let's go into dress and appearance. So dressing professionally and grooming oneself appropriately shows respect for the workplace and helps fit into the company culture. So your first impression can set the tone for your entire professional relationship. Dressing appropriately and showing up on time shows that you take your role seriously. So, a warm, confident greeting also helps you come across as approachable and respectful. And you want to respect culture norms and diversity in appearances. And be mindful of how your style may be perceived in different settings. So, I know that we are in the age of, being your authentic self, and your individuality matters. However, when it is we are in a workplace, there are certain standards that should be upheld, and not every workplace has those same standards. So for example, if you are let's say working, what's a good contrast? Let's say you're working for a corporate company, for example, like Scotiabank, and you are seeing clients regularly. You would want to be dressing professionally, as in full business attire. Whereas, let's say you're working on a beach bar, you're bartending on a beach bar. I would not expect to see the bartender in a full suit and tie on the beach making me a drink, right? So it really also depends on where you're working and what that company's culture is. So it's very important to adhere to that specifically. So let's play a little game. And I want you to tell me whether or not what they're wearing based on where they are is appropriate, inappropriate, or it really and truly depends. So the location, they're at the corporate head office. The person is an HR analyst. They are presenting training metrics to senior leadership. They're meeting with vice presidents and they're participating in a business strategy discussion. Based on what this person is wearing, would you say that it is appropriate or inappropriate, or it really depends? Okay, good. So I'm seeing some answers coming in. Everyone thinks that it is appropriate. I agree. This is a very appropriate attire based on what her role is and what her responsibilities are and who she is meeting. Let's go to the next one. So same thing, their location is a corporate office. They're training and development coordinator. They have internal meetings only, no visitors. They usually have casual Fridays. But is this attire appropriate or inappropriate, or does it depend? So I'm seeing some appropriate. I'm seeing some mix. It depends. Depend. So this answer actually depends. So yes, they're not seeing persons regularly. So no, they don't have to be full suit and tie. However, they still work in a corporate office. And not every company allows jeans or polos on work, or maybe they have a specific day for that only. So this answer is really and truly, it depends on what the company allows, regardless of whether or not you see clients, and if wearing this type of attire is even allowed, right? So if it's a Friday casual day, perfectly fine. But if the company does not allow it, then you continue to dress appropriately. Let's go to scenario 3. So the location, they're in a regional office. They are a customer experience associate. They are hosting an external client. They're delivering a presentation and they're representing the organization. Would you wear this outfit to meet a client? So getting some mixed answers in here as well.
Miss, this one is definitely inappropriate for the occasion.
So Asia is very strong on that one. So this is actually inappropriate. And Asia, tell me why you think this is inappropriate.
Well, business professional would be dress shoes, not sneakers. I understand that he's wearing dress pants and a shirt, but business professional blazers would have to go with the shirt or a tie as well. It's
Yeah.
not really,
No,
but
you are correct. You're hitting the nail on the head right there, right? Yeah, your shirt sleeve is rolled up, you're wearing casual sneakers. So this is not business professional when it is you're meeting a client. And again, looking at where their location is and what their role is, this would not be a professional attire or an appropriate attire to meet a client. And then finally, this person they work from home, they're a project coordinator, they have camera on meeting, cross-functional collaborations, and team check-ins. Is this appropriate for video call? So seeing everyone saying appropriate, yeah, that's right. This is appropriate attire for a video call. Excellent. So I think we kind of more or less have it grasp of what it is you should and should not wear depending on where you are working. One, who is your audience, where you sit, and what is the company's guidelines to what you should be wearing, regardless of whether or not you see clients. You do still have to look a certain way based on the company standards and guidelines. So going into another one, we have timeliness. So consistently arriving on time for work, for meetings, and appointments is a crucial sign of respect for others' times. So timely responses show that you're organized and you're very respectful of other person's times. Have you all ever been in experiences where you've just been waiting and waiting and waiting for people and you're just getting annoyed because you need to get things done? Yeah, it's very annoying because I also have things on my desk. I can't be waiting for you all day to start this meeting. So timeliness is an important aspect of business etiquette because one, you need to be on time for yourself, but you also need to be considerate of other person's times because it's not just about you. Because let's say you're 20 minutes late for a meeting, that's going to throw everyone off, especially if you're a key person in that meeting. So let's go through a little activity here. So this is a challenge, and I want your answers for this, right? So you are scheduled to start work at 8 a.m. and you arrive at 8:15 a.m. So when you get to your desk, your manager has already started the morning briefing. A client called asking for information. Your teammate has been covering your responsibilities and you have a meeting at 8:30. So what do you think is the biggest impact of arriving late? A, nothing, it's only 15 minutes. B, it affects only me. C, it can affect colleagues, clients, and deadlines. And D, as long as I finish my work, it doesn't matter. So I'm getting a resounding responses of C. That's right, Alyssa. A lot can happen in a short space of time. And sometimes you're managing your time so well and you don't even know where it went. So the answer is C. It can affect colleagues. Sorry, I had to switch back my screens here. It can affect colleagues, it can affect clients, and it can affect your deadlines. And it's a domino effect because what happens now is that your team waits for you to get the updates. So time is taken away from their desk. The projects and deadlines are now being delayed. your colleagues end up taking on extra workload because you were late. So they now have to deal with whatever is directly in front of them at this point of time. And then now you have clients that may be upset because they are experiencing delays because persons were late. So we want to take a look at the bigger picture. Timelines shows respect, it shows reliability and professionalism because it's not just about you, it impacts the entire team. So this is not just being selfishly about, oh, I late, but that will have nothing to do with anybody. It affects everyone on the team if you are late. So let's talk about this a little bit. How might your late arrival impact your team? So those of you with working experience or even not, and anything that you can draw reference from. If you have had any experience with persons, you just waiting on them, how can that affect your team or yourself arriving late? Anyone? They can lose reliability for you. If you're responsible for crucial parts of a presentation for class, it could be embarrassing or a bad look. That's so real. Onisha, we have to change that. You cannot be always late. Not in the workplace. Less time to finish work. Listen, Antoine, that is so real because you know what? It pushes back your entire day. I feel like I've experienced that enough times to know that it feels like there is not enough time in the day now because my day started 15 minutes late. That 15 minutes that I could have had that quiet time now turns into me rushing everything, and now I have a million things on my desk and I maybe still didn't even get to do that thing that I was supposed to do in the morning. So it pushes it back. I'm seeing someone say they won't have any credibility. It makes the company look bad in front of investors. It could disrupt everyone's schedule. Christian, I'm seeing your hand up.
Hi, good afternoon. Well, I was going to say that sometimes when you're working in a team, other person's parts would depend on what you have to bring first. So if you arrive late and you do not bring your completed work, they are unable to complete their part of the project, thus putting more stress on everyone having to cope with deadlines.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not a good look, especially if other persons are doing their part. It's not a good look. So, what would you do differently? Let's say to help you avoid being late, or let's say you know that you're going to be late. What could you do differently?
Set up alarms to wake yourself up earlier.
Yeah. Send a message, have an alarm set. I have maybe about 5 to 6 alarms set just for the morning to make sure I get out of bed. And the last one is the latest that I could get up. Otherwise, I'm for sure late. Celeste, I'm seeing your hand up.
Hi, good day again. So if I know I'm going to be late, I will let somebody know. But like not only that, if I know that I have, let's say, a close colleague that can take over some of my work for a temporary period, like before I come, so that people are not waiting for me. I would ask them, hey, could you just cover for me? I'm going to be late because of XYZ situation. It's out of my control right now. I apologize and I will try to do better in the future. Basically, is what
Good.
I would do.
I love that. And that is very important as well. Advising the persons beforehand that you're going to be late. Because imagine you're done late and nobody knows, and they're calling and they can't reach you. And everybody's stressed because they're like, I have no idea what's happening. No one can give an update. So it's very important. One, if you know you're going to be late or you are running late, you didn't plan to be late, but I don't know, 20 people like to drive all house and I would have an accident on the road. And now you're late. Shoot someone a message.
You can also train yourself to wake up earlier.
train yourself to wake up earlier. Girl, that has been so hard, but it's true. You need to prepare yourself because you don't want that you end up in situations where you're cutting it exact. And then, like I said, Trini people like to drive all how, and you end up in traffic for an hour because you leave on time and you had no preparation or time for the unexpected. So yeah, train yourself to be a little earlier. And I'm seeing some persons saying some really good options. Prepare yourself the night before so that you don't have to be rushing in the morning. Get up earlier so you have some extra time. If you want to wake up 6:30, set your alarm for 5:30. So I do that. So if I know my time is 6:30 to get up, my alarms start from an hour before, and there are 15 or 10-minute intervals until I get up. Go to sleep on time. This is such a great response because why are you up early now? You're tired. Now you're
Miss,
tired.
it also depends on the circumstances of what happened that morning. Because
Right.
it always don't mean like you wake up late, so you reach it late. Like something could have happened that morning which prevented you from going early.
Of course, so things do happen, and that's why I was saying it's very important that if you know something is happening in the moment, you send a message to someone and let them know what's going on, because you know what? They could probably, who are already there, work around or reschedule or find another time to do something, or they now know you're not going to be here at this time. Let's move on to something else rather than them just waiting for you, right? So all really, really good responses. So, our key takeaways, we want to plan ahead and be prepared. Like some of you all said, get your stuff ready the night before so you don't have to be rushing in the morning. Set those alarms early. Go to bed early. Arrive early so that you're ready. You don't want to just be there and now scattering to get ready because you're exact on time. Give yourself a little extra time so you don't have to rush all the time. You want to respect other person's time and their priorities. And small habits build a strong reputation, because I saw some of you said, and you were absolutely right. It's not a good look for the company. You're going to lose credibility. They're not going to see you as someone that is reliable. So those are some really, really good responses. So I have another one here. So time management challenge. So I want to see how you guys are going to do it. You have 1 hour to complete everything that's on your list. So this is your list of tasks here that all actually should add up to an hour, right? Would it? Let's see. So tell me, in what order would you schedule these times? Because this is how long each task is going to take you. So I want to know how you're going to schedule it to be the most effective way to manage your time. So responding to email takes you 15 minutes. Completing a report takes you 25 minutes. Attending a meeting takes you 20 minutes. You need your help. Your teammate wants some help. That's going to take you 15 minutes. But you only have 60 minutes to do all of these things. So in order of what you think is, I guess, most important and most time effective, I want to see some of your responses. How would you handle your tasks?
Miss, I would attend the meeting first because sometimes meetings tend to take longer than it's supposed to. So in case of anything, I will attend the meeting first so I could just get out of the way. Then I will complete the report. So once you finish it earlier, you will have like more time for stuff. And then when you submit things earlier, it is seem more professional. Then I would send out my emails, and then I'll help my teammates.
And
Because
then
you
you
have
help
to
your
put
team.
you first.
I was gonna say, I gotta put me first, Lucius. I gotta put me first. So seeing some responses, longest to shortest task. Longest to shortest. I'm seeing someone say report, then help teammates, attend a meeting, respond to emails. Long, long, short, so you're not tired. Attend meeting, complete report, respond to emails, and then help the teammate. So I think all of you kind of on the same wavelength in terms of how you would handle this. And you all would have said as longest as shortest. But I think it's kind of important that we know. So we see the time frames that we have here, and you only have 60 minutes in the day to do everything. But what we're seeing here is all of these tasks are going to take longer than the 1 hour that you have. And the reality is, you may not be able to do everything on your to-do list with the time that you have realistically, right? So this is where you now prioritize what is most important that needs to be completed. And I'm seeing that some of you either said the meeting first or your report first. And well, Anisha says your emails always come first. So again, it's based on your schedule and what you need to do or what is most important to you. So this is where you prioritize, because when it is you start working, you realize everybody will think that everything is important and everything needs to be happening now. But at what point you can't do everything at the same time. You need to start prioritizing. And the thing is, for me, what I would say is that meeting and these reports, these are the most important things on my list. And you'll realize that you have emails, you need to respond to emails. Not every email that you have requires a response or an immediate response or action. So sometimes you can be filtering your emails throughout the day. You flag what's important and know when to go back to them so that you can sift it through. Because sometimes if you really sit down to go through all those emails, you might be there whole day and you will not get anything done. So sometimes you really have to go through the emails and see what is worth responding to or what can wait. And then you adjust from there. And while it's good to be a team player and help your teammates, you also need to be able to make sure you have time to help your teammate. So you can simply, say something like, I have a lot on my plate. If I'm available and I get these things done, I'll come over and help. If not, we could probably set up some time and we can do that. So I actually think that you all had some really good responses, but it's really good that you all know that you're not going to always be able to get everything done within the time space that you have. And sometimes it's a little stressful. So you have to know what you can pinpoint. And if, for example, that report is due soon and your manager is waiting on it, that might need to be prioritized, because if it's due same day, you're going to want to make sure you put that above everything else. If the meeting is mandatory or it involves other persons depending on your input, that also matters. And again, emails may feel urgent because of the notifications, but not every email requires an immediate response. And helping your teammates, that is also something that they can wait on a little bit. You have to put yourself first in this situation to make sure you have your tasks completed before you can help them out. Like, what they say on the airplane, please make sure you have you take care of yourself before you help someone else, right? So you might not have a 15 minutes to give them, but you might only have 10. So you can say, I just have 10 minutes. What can I help you with in that time? So key takeaway here. Good time management means balancing your responsibilities with the needs of the team. It also means knowing when to speak up, ask for clarification, or communicate delays early. Because if you're not able to finish something on time, because sometimes you really can't, it's very important that you communicate it and probably ask for an extension. Being timely is not only about arriving on time, it also includes meeting those deadlines, respecting other people's schedules, and preparing in advance and managing your workload responsibly. So, this is your main takeaway for timeliness. Your time is valuable, and so is everyone else's. So, when you plan ahead, when you prioritize well, and when you communicate early, you show professionalism, reliability, and respect for other person's time. So let's go into interpersonal skills. So this involves general politeness, good manners, and respectful interaction with everyone that you encounter. Respecting boundaries helps maintain a positive environment. So this includes physical space, cultural norms, and professional rules. You want to avoid gossiping and being mindful of sensitive topic shows maturity and professionalism. Social interactions at work, it really does help build relationship, but it's also important to strike a balance. Being inclusive and respectful during social events helps to foster a positive team cultures. So these are some important skills that you can develop to help your interpersonal skills. So going to do a little activity again. So I want you all to read the room for me. And sorry, great. So just so we can get an idea of what you all would say, right? So you're attending your first team networking session at work. Different situations are happening around the room. So I want you to choose the answer that best reflects professionalism and respect. So which answer best reflects strong interpersonal skills?
A.
Okay, so I'm already seeing our answer coming in. So I'll read it out. So you have A, join the team activity, introduce yourself and include someone standing alone. B, stay only with people you already know. C, start a conversation about office gossip or someone's personal situation. Or D, interrupt a senior leader during a conversation to ask for career advice. So everyone is giving me a resounding answer for A. And let's see. So that is the best choice because what this does is it shows participation, it shows inclusion, and it shows respect. It also helps to create a positive team environment. Now, with B, what do we think about B? How do we feel about that? Stay only with people you know.
Well, for like people who are nervous, that might be the best choice for them, but it wouldn't really build no bond with your team. And then everybody would just stay in the corner and like teamwork wouldn't be involved. So like your best outcome, whatever you're doing with your team, the best outcome will then come out if or you don't communicate with each other.
That is a perfect response. So this needs some improvement because it's not that it's wrong. I mean, I think we all naturally do that. When you go into a room with persons that you don't know, you usually stick to the people that you do, right? But it limits your opportunity to build relationships. So in a professional setting, especially during networking or team activities, it really does help you step outside your comfort zone when possible. What do we think about C? Is C appropriate, inappropriate?
No, C is very wrong, especially in a workplace environment. Like, why would you just go out your way to talk about somebody?
You would be surprised, you know? You walk into the room, you walk into the room and you're there with your friends and you'd see someone that you happen to glimpse and you just end up having a little, a little snicker here and there. You would be surprised, but you're absolutely correct. C is inappropriate. I like Celeste's answer. C is just you. I agree. It's just you because why are we gossiping for? That's not right. That's not good. What's That's trouble. If they gossip with you, they will gossip about you. Remember that. Remember that. If they gossip with you, chances are, and I actually really believe that. So that's why I don't. Because I'm like, if you're talking about me, I'm sure you're if you are talking to me about someone else, I'm sure you're talking about me to someone else as well, right? So C is completely inappropriate because gossip and sensitive topics can damage trust and create discomfort. Because if people know you now as a gossip monger, then nobody's going to want to talk to you. Nobody's going to share anything with you because they don't want you running their business, right? So professional conversation should avoid personal matters, rumors, or topics that make other people uncomfortable. And what do we think about D? You're interrupting a senior leader during a conversation to ask for career advice. Doesn't seem bad, but what do we think about it?
It isn't bad, but it can come off as rude. because you're interrupting a conversation between two people. Like you should wait till the conversation ends to then ask.
Nice. That's a good response. I'm seeing Perusia is a little So Ashley, it's not wrong, but you should wait. Completely inappropriate and disrespectful. It's kind of pushy. Maybe do not interrupt. Needs improvement. Feeling out of place. All excellent answers. So as you said, it's not wrong because I mean you're at a networking event and you would love to speak to a senior manager, but it's a good reminder that timing and approach matters. So it is completely okay to speak to the senior leader, but we should be respectful of their time, role, and the situation. So sometimes the better approach is to wait for a natural opening or ask if there's a better time to connect because you don't want to interrupt their conversation, of course. They're in the middle of one. But if you see an opening to go in and speak, that's when you take your opportunity too. So a strong takeaway that why my slide change? Hold on. Okay, well, the other part I don't want to show, but a strong takeaway that I want you guys to have for these interpersonal skills is that it helps you to build trust, it shows respect, and it contributes to a positive workplace culture. Because sometimes the smallest actions, like including someone or giving people space or choosing the right topic, really and truly can make the biggest difference. And last activity for this topic. So this is your scenario. I want you to choose the best answer. So you're in a team discussion and a new colleague shares an idea. Another team member quickly says, "That won't work. We already tried something like that before." Which response best demonstrates strong interpersonal skills? A,
See,
yeah, that idea probably won't work. B, let's not waste time on this. C, thanks for sharing that idea. Can we explore what might be different this time? Or D, say nothing and move on? I see in C, 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 C. I get 1D. Aaron, you what? You don't want to share? It's a team meeting amongst colleagues. Oh, you corrected it. Okay. What if D was correct and you change your answer? No, the best answer is actually C. And why does this work? Because this would actively reinforce being inclusive and respectful. It knows when to keep things professional. It helps to participate in team activities where possible, respect different perspectives, and avoid shutting people down. And it really helps you to build that positive working relationship, right? So I'm really hoping that these little activities are bringing to light like some real life situations that what you can do to help develop your skills, right? Because the thing is you can disagree professionally with someone without making them feel like they are dismissed. So strong interpersonal responses should be respectful, it should be clear, it should be open-minded, solution focused, you should have a professional tone, and really, really, really try to make yourself aware of how others may receive the message that you're trying to send. I like to put myself in other person's shoes. I like to reread my message 50 times to see how much different ways they could probably reread this and think, I'm saying the wrong thing. But try your best to be aware of how they may receive the message that you're sending. And then our final point here is respect for shared spaces. This is so important. You would not believe. Cleaning up after yourself, being mindful of noise levels, and respecting common areas contribute to a harmonious environment. So you want to clean up after yourself. You want to dispose of trash properly, wipe down surfaces after use, return items to their original place. You want to be mindful of noise. Keep conversations at a respectful volume. Use headphones for music or videos. So you don't want to be playing I should not be hearing your music from across the hall, right? Avoid loud phone calls in quiet zones. You want to respect personal boundaries. Don't touch other people's things now earlier. Don't touch others' belongings. Ask before borrowing shared resources. Maintain personal space in communal areas. Use shared resources responsibly. So don't monopolize equipment or space. So if it's a shared space, you have to share the space. It's not yours. So you want to be mindful of that, right? Report any damage or issues, follow booking or usage protocols. And you want to leave it better than you found it. A small act of tidiness goes a really, really long way, and it sets a good example for others. So if someone sees that you're cleaning up after you've used this space, more than likely the next person to come is going to do that. It's going to be like ring there if they leave the place looking bad, right? It's just not a good look. So here I have a picture, and I want you to spot some red flags for me and tell me about this space and how many red flags you could spot in this shared space. You've seen 3, 5, 7, or more than 7. And if you want to list them out for me in the chat. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of people saying this space is very untidy. It seems chaotic. Who leave their bag and box in the middle just so? Same thing I want to
Yeah.
know. Who does that?
It looks
Okay,
to
so
be
JVL
about
is saying
like
about
7
5
red flags.
things. You're seeing 7?
Yeah.
You want to point them out, the 7 that you're seeing?
Hold on. My screen is kind of sticking. Okay. So the stuff by the sink, food on the plates, dirty dishes by the sink. This is a work area, not home.
I'm
The,
saying.
the stuff on the table, the loud calls in an open area, the stuff on the floor, the printer looking like it's jammed up, the cluttered tables. I think that's about close to it. And the bags on the chairs and stuff.
Yeah, these are some really, really good ones. I think you're almost at all. Anyone? Anyone seen anything else that just picking
I
them
don't know if
out?
it's just me, but the meeting room also looking unorganized. And why is the door to the meeting room open? It's nobody inside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking that I'm seeing 2 employees sitting down and talking. I feel like if they want to talk, they should go in the meeting room. And also somebody is doing work by a computer, and it looked like she is eating around the equipment.
Yeah, seeing a lot of red flags here. Thank you, Christian. So, I don't know. I would walk in. How would you feel walking into this space? You came to
I
work
don't
and you
think I
walk into this
would
space.
walk into that space. I'd go home.
You'd make a U-turn, overstimulated. I think I'd be very overstimulated. It does need to clean up. Uncomfortable and overstimulated. I could not agree with you all more. Because let's look at it. We have dirty dishes and a food mess left in the shared kitchen area. You have trash and food. These people don't know how to clean up after themselves. And y'all may think that this is just a picture, but this happens in real life. And I don't want that to be y'all. Don't be the people that leave a space looking like this, because it is it's gross, right? It's not a vibe. I wouldn't want to work there. It's not a conducive work environment for me. And even so, I wouldn't even want to spend time there. It feels so cluttered and unorganized. You got personal items spread across the chairs. You have cords and equipment left. If you're in a shared space, don't leave your things there. Go with it and come back, because you're taking up space where someone else could be, right? So you want to clean up after yourself. Be considerate. And you see, they even have workplace signs saying clean up after yourself, and they are completely disregarding it, right? So you you will see that there are a lot of when you all are in these environments, you may see situations like this. I don't ever want that to be you all. You want to pick up after yourselves. If you have to take a call, go into a room and take the call privately. Not everybody needs to know your conversation. There are always little rooms that you can go to have calls. If you're having a meeting, go into the meeting room. If it's a shared meeting room, clean up after yourself. Nothing should be left behind. Wipe down the whiteboard after you use it. I think that's for me is one of my biggest pet peeves with it is that if persons use the whiteboard, they don't clean up after it, right? So just different things like that. Because respect for shared spaces means leaving areas clean, accessible, and comfortable for everyone. So before leaving a shared space, you want to ask yourself, did I leave this ready for the next person? Because it should not look like someone was there at all. That's how I like to think about it. If after I've used the space, no one should have even known that I've used the space when a next person comes, because I want to leave it better than I left it. So that is more or less the end of our five key business etiquette points. And I want to hear from you. Which red flag do you think could have the biggest impact on your professional reputation, or which one do you think happens most in the workplace? Anyone?
Being late, especially in Trinidad, where like everybody is late.
So being late could have a big impact on your professional reputation. I agree. Being disorganized, I'm seeing some being messy or untidy.
Being a very, what's the word? Aggressive or conflict kind of person.
Yeah, conflict-oriented person.
Yeah.
No one wants to be around someone like that. It's difficult, right? I'm seeing workplace gossiping. Yeah, I try to avoid gossipers, and because I don't want you talking my business, and I do not want to be associated. And I think that's also very important for you all to know too. Don't associate yourself too much with that, because now the automatic assumption is going to be that you're gossiping as well. So those are things that you really do need to put into consideration. I'm seeing some responses: poor communication, being late, having an attitude towards positive criticism, taking a phone call during a meeting, gossip, communication, because half of the time if you communicate, you may be able for people to understand you. Yeah, so I think we had some good takeaways here. So what do you guys think happens most often in the workplace? Trick question. They all happen in the workplace. But I don't want that you all are ever to be a cause of these things happening, because now you know what to do and you're being considerate of others, not just yourself. And you want to have a good reputation, because I don't know if you've heard people say your reputation precedes you. You don't want that when you walk into a room, it's only the negative things they say. You want that they say, oh yeah, this girl, I like working with her. Like, she's real easy to work with this person. She communicates well. She's always on time. She gets my reports done when it needs to be. Like, she's so clean. Like, this place is always looking spick and span. Like, those are the things that you want persons to say about you when you're in that working environment, right? So I do hope that you did get something from this workshop. And I'm going to ask you, what are some takeaways that you get from this? Or what's something that you're going to start doing that you weren't doing before to help you have better business etiquette? Anyone? I like that, Jolene. Your name is your brand. Don't forget that. Christian, yes, go ahead.
What I would do is when I'm in social events for work, I would try to kind of break out of my shyness and interact and network with more people who I do not know.
Yes, that's a good one. And networking is so important because something I like to say is you never know who these people will be, you know? Like you may not meet them right now, but in a couple years from now, they could be senior management. And how nice would it be that they know you or you know them? So networking is so important. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about the cleaning up and that respect for the shared workspace. Aaliyah saying learning to prioritize important tasks. These are some good takeaways. Make an effort to be on time and try to interact more. Good.
Miss, our next thing with communication is not to share plenty about yourself, but like share plenty about yourself too. And you see me because like if you just keep on talking about you, people might talk about that and say it's self-centered. So when you're communicating, it's not to share plenty about yourself, but just enough so they know who you is.
So having professional or appropriate conversation in the workplace is good because I mean, of course, you do want persons to get to know you, but that doesn't mean you have to, like you said, share every detail down to the wire about yourself in that environment. But eventually, again, as I said, a lot of these things are truly dependent on where you're working and how you are able to interact with your coworkers because some of these people turn out to be your really, really good friends down the line. But you also need to be respectful and mindful of where you are and the type of conversations that you have in the workplace. What you do outside, that's up to you. But once you're in the workplace, you should have respectful conversations there. Good. And I'm seeing some good responses. So thank you all so much. I think you were the best audience ever. You were extremely interactive. And just so that you all, you may not have everything together, but professionalism is a skill. So the more that you all practice it, the more that it naturally becomes a part of who you are. So, thank you so much, team, for being here with me today. And before I go, I will open the floor for any questions you may have about what we went through today. Okay, so I think we're all good. So, Isaiah, I'm handing back to you.
Thank you very much, Rachel, for being with us here today. I hope you guys really enjoy the valuable information that was shared. Thank you very much again, Rachel. Guys, we will now move on to the second half of the session for this afternoon. So now we would be covering CV, resume writing, and cover letters, and also touch on the topic of interview skills. So with us today here, we also have two additional representatives from the Scotiabank Foundation. And us now, we have Miss Loretta Williams and Nazra Mohammed. Nazra, please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name right.
You're fine, don't worry.
Okay, perfect. So Loretta is an assistant manager of recruitment and has been with the Scotiabank Foundation for 15 years, including the past 11 years in human resources. Her experience spans recruitment, talent acquisition, and employee benefits administration. And Nazra is also an assistant manager, recruitment, who brings an immersive 27 years of experience with being with Scotiabank, including the last 6 years in human resources. And she also specializes in recruitment and talent acquisition. So together, Loretta and Nazra play an important role in supporting the bank's talent needs. Their work involves partnering with business leaders to attract and hire talent, conduct interviews and background checks, support career advancement opportunities, and respond to the bank's evolving staffing needs. So I am very happy to present Nazra and Loretta, and I think they are the most suitable candidates to be covering today's session after reviewing their years of experience and expertise.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Isaiah. Thank you for that warm welcome.
And thank you to all of the applicants, candidates on the line. Really nice to meet you guys virtually. As Isaiah would have mentioned, I am Loretta Williams, and joining us today as well is Nazra Mohammed from the team, the HR team at Scotiabank, and we are going to go through today's presentation with you, right? So just give me a couple minutes just to try to get it up. Okay. 1 second. Okay, team, can you just let me know if you're seeing the presentation?
So we are able to see.
You're not seeing my notes as well, right?
Yeah,
No.
Lorette, seeing it
Yeah,
in
Lorette.
presenter
Yeah.
view.
You say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I
Lorette,
hide the notes?
Rachel, how do we present
Without
without
notes,
the
yeah.
yeah?
Do you have two screens?
No, I don't.
Let's pretend we don't.
Is there, so I had to share my screen and use the second screen. Is there by chance a way to upload the presentation to Zoom?
I actually never tried it that way. Usually I know we use two screens. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure. What I know some presenters do, they also they have two screens, or they will have their notes separate on a separate document.
Yeah.
Lorette, do you want to see and try the presenting Teams and try that instead?
Sorry, try what? Or presenting
when
Teams?
You open
Okay.
when you open the presentation.
Gotcha. Okay, presenting Teams. It's coming up, trying to okay. That is only for Teams and ours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not that. Okay. Give me 1 second again. Let me try. So share, advanced sharing options. Okay, let's try that. How many participants can share? Tell me one who can share host. Let's start sharing host only. Okay.
Lorette, let me
try a
share. Oh, was that? Let me
I was
share.
going to try to share a window, but you share and move it for me, and I'll just read off here.
That's no problem. All right.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. We live and we learn.
Yeah, we're accustomed to Teams, so you know, that's our issue. Isaiah, we were trying to practice before to see if we could have gotten through with it, but we realized that the room wouldn't have been open unless you open it. So, you know, we were trying to be prepared.
I understand. It's okay.
All right, so I'm gonna share and
okay, lovely. You want to put it on the presenter mode, the full screen?
All right. Where am I getting that?
I think it's at the bottom, the 1, 2, 3, 4th icon, slideshow.
All right. Tell me when you could see.
Yes. Great.
Okay. All right. Good.
Right. Is everyone seeing as well? Does this work for everyone? Okay, great, excellent. Thank you so much for that, Naz. So, Naz, we have shortened acronyms for most of the persons on the team. I am Laurette, and Nazra is Naz, okay? So, you may hear me referring to her like that as we go on, but she's quite okay with me calling her Naz.
I prefer
All
it,
right.
yes.
So, guys, today we are going to go through with you the effective resume writing and interview skills. I am going to take you through the first portion of this segment today, which is resume writing. Okay, so just by a show of hands, or any reaction, you can drop a note in the chat as well. How many of you have prepared a resume before? Have you ever done a resume, or have you even attended a resume before? Sorry, attended an interview before? Okay, great. A lot of thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. Right, now you can move to the next slide. Okay. So in today's session, or at the end of today's session, what we are hoping is that we are hoping that everyone will be able to create their own resumes, avoid some common mistakes which may distract or detract from your resume, learn some interview skills, and understand the key do's and don'ts when it comes to preparing for an interview. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So why is it important to write a good resume? Have any of you ever heard the saying that, finding a great job starts with writing a great resume? So have any of you heard anyone say something like that? Perhaps your parents may have told you, you may have heard a teacher mention this to you, or perhaps some mentor in your life. Yes, I'm seeing some yeses in the chat. Anyone never heard of this before? Not really. Okay. Antoine is saying not really. Okay, sure. No problem. So yes, getting a great job usually starts with being able to write a great resume, right? And why is this important? It's important because a resume is really a document that you create to highlight your qualifications for a position. On a resume, you'll want to include things such as your professional strengths and things that make you stand out or make an employer take notice of you. So I want to throw out a question to the group. So Naz and I have been with recruitment team for a while, and we've been reviewing a lot of resumes, right? So guys and girls, how long do you think Naz and I, or other recruiters and other companies, how long do you think we actually take to review your resume? So you can unmute or you can drop some comments in the chat.
More or less a minute or two.
Okay, Isaiah is saying a minute or two. Asia, sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name. 10 seconds, 3 minutes, 10 minutes. I think I saw 24 hours, 30 minutes, and 48 hours. If I'm not mistaken. 5 days. Okay. All right. So some good responses. 2 days. All right, great, great. So a recruiter or a hiring manager like Naz and myself, we will take 6 seconds to review your resume. 6 seconds is the time that we would usually spend to review your resume. So we can all agree that 6 seconds is literally no time at all, right? It's like really, really no time. I probably can't even walk from I don't know how long. I'm not very good with distances, but I probably can't even walk very far in 6 seconds, right? So hence why it is important that you ensure that your resume has pertinent information, and you want to ensure that everything on your resume is important and catches the attention of the recruiter, because we are only going to spend 6 seconds, right? So let's look now at the various areas on a resume.
Just, are you okay there, Laurette? Because I was stuck there for a minute.
Yes, this is fine. Thank you.
Okay.
So guys, on a resume, it typically has the following categories. Your resume will speak to what is your career objective. You're also going to list your summary of skills, qualifications, and experience. You'll mention your professional experience, your education and qualifications as well, and any volunteer experience that you may or may not have. That you may have, sorry. Right? Okay, we can move on.
Just give it a second. I don't know why it's taken a little while.
That's okay. So what we're going to go into next is each of these bullet point areas, and we're going to kind of break out and look into the substance or the meat of what these things actually mean. Yeah? Okay, great, thanks. So your career objective. What is your career objective? Does anyone want to give an idea of what they think it might be? So I know we have some information on the slide.
I think it's the direction in which you want your career to go and how you'd like your future to look.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Asia. Outline of your careers. Iran is saying it's outline. Okay.
Goals you want to achieve with your career.
Goals. Okay, great. What you want your job to ultimately give you. Okay. And a pathway for your career. So thank you for all of the responses, team. All great ideas and responses as well. So a career objective or career statement is your opening statement and your introduction of yourself to that hiring manager, right? It's usually a one-liner that helps you to zone in on why you're interested in the position or why are you interested in the role. An example of a career objective can be, I am a recent university graduate or undergrad with a passion for helping customers. I'm confident that my particular skill set will help to retain your customers and help to generate referrals, thereby boosting the client base. Right, so we can see that's about 2 sentences. It doesn't really take up much space on your resume, and it directly speaks to the hiring manager in terms of, why you may be a good addition to this company. So some key things that a career objective should cover. It covers your career goals. It clearly states your short-term and your long-term career goals, and it outlines the path that you want to take in your professional life. I know some of you would have mentioned that. Your career objective should also align with job requirements. It demonstrates how your skills, experiences, and aspirations are relevant to the job that you're applying for. It should also highlight your professional skills and qualities. It highlights your key professional skills, strengths, and qualities that are pertinent to your role or the industry. You will also want your career objective to have brevity and clarity. It's typically concise. So as you saw in my example previously, it was 1 or 2 sentences long. So you usually want your career objective to be no longer than 2 to 3 sentences. You want it to be clear, straightforward, and avoid any vague or generic statements. Your career objective should also be personalized for the role that you're applying towards. So tailor that career objective to each job application. It shouldn't be just one blanket statement that you have on every single resume that you submit, because it's not going to be that you're applying for the same types of jobs, right? So you want to show how specifically the role and you want to show, how you specifically fit the role and your contribution to the organization. For example, if you are applying to the bank, or if you're going to be applying to Scotiabank in the future, you would not put that it's your dream job to one day open your own food place and create new and unique menus, right? Because it may not necessarily align with our organization, and it doesn't capture how you're going to be adding to the organization. Sorry, guys. Okay, so did everyone catch the career objective? Anything you all want to ask there? No? Okay. So moving on to the next part of your resume, which speaks to your summary of skills, qualifications, and experience. When you're listing your skills, qualifications, and experience, you want to use a format that is neat, tidy, and easy to read, right? So bullet points are the most effective. You really want to avoid lengthy paragraphs, and using formats like lists and columns help to create order in your resume. It also helps to create space in your resume, and you'll see this later on, because a resume can get filled up very quickly. I mean, it also can get very lengthy if you don't use your space wisely, right? So you want to ensure that you include pertinent information when it comes to listing your skills, qualifications, and experience. Okay, so now we're going to look at your professional experience, right? So have any of you on this call have any professional experience? Have you ever worked before? No? Yes? Okay, I'm seeing a couple of thumbs up. Okay, great. Naz, I think we lost the
slide?
The slide as well as the presenter view. It went back to the beginning.
Oh, all right, because I'm seeing it on my end. Let me just stop.
We're at the professional experience slide 8.
Are you seeing anything? Because I'm toggling right now.
Yes.
Seeing
it again.
Okay, all right.
Great. All right, so your professional experience is what we consider to be the heart of your resume, right? This is really what keeps your resume alive. And it's important in this section that you really include the following information. You want to share all the places that you would have worked on your resume, right? So as you continue to gain work experience and as you continue to, develop your professional skills, this can become quite lengthy because you may have experiences in numerous companies, numerous types of positions, roles, etc. But it's important to list all of this information on your resume because you want to show the hiring manager your range of experience that you have. That's what you want to share, right? So you want to start off by showing the company name, as in which company you would have worked in. You want to list the position title that you would have held, the period of time that you spent in each company, and also each position within that company. You want to list a few duties and responsibilities that you were responsible for getting done within that role. And you'll also want to briefly describe your track record or success, right? Because again, you want to be able to show the recruiter and the hiring manager, this is what I was able to achieve in my last job. And this is what I can bring to your company as well, right? For example, the quickest way to do this is by using metrics, numbers, anything that can be quantitative, right? So for example, let's say you would have worked in a position where you were a data entry clerk, right? So you would have worked perhaps as an OJT person in one of the companies previously. So in terms of listing your duties and responsibilities, you can list it as you would have surpassed the team's daily quota of inputting 200 entries into the database, right? So guys, can you see how that statement, that sentence alone is very specific in that it speaks to, I have experience doing data entry. There was a quota or there was a target assigned to the team, and I was able to surpass the target which was assigned to the team. You are able to cover 3 critical areas that hiring managers are keen on knowing. They want to know if they can trust you to get the job done. And they also want to know if you are able to get the job done, basically, right? Was that clear to you guys? Yeah? Okay. It's also very important that when you are listing your experience, that you list it in reverse chronological order, right? So what does that mean? You want to start with your most recent experience at the top and work backwards to your least earliest work experience or your most outdated previous experience. So let's say, for example, we are in August of 2026, right? So let's say you would have been working. Who want to give me an example of a job? Give me an example of a job that they've done previously. You can put it in the chat, that's fine. Okay, so I'm seeing KFC, RIK, Massey. All right, great. So let's assume that you would have been working as a customer service representative with RIK, right? And you were working with RIK between February 2026 to present. You are still working with RIK. Previous to that, you would have been working at Massey, right? You would have been, perhaps you were a cashier or you were one of the lane wrappers at Massey. So you'll list your RIK information or your RIK experience first on your resume. And then right below that, you're going to list cashier, Massey Finance, Massey GFC. And then you're going to list below that your time period. So perhaps you were with Massey from January, you would have started. Perhaps you just worked there for Christmas. So you worked there December 2025. So you'll put that directly below your RIK experience, right? You also have to remember to list a few details of what you did at the company. So perhaps at RIK, you assisted back to school shopping needs of parents. You would have gathered the information on various booklets. You would have helped them. You were also responsible for a project that the manager had, whereby they were opening a new branch, and you had to really help distribute and pack the books, etc., to get to the new location. Yeah, so those things kind of help to show how it is you have the various skill sets that the company may be looking for in terms of hiring you for the position that you're applying towards. Okay, great. So again, remember, once you are inputting your information on your resume and you are listing your information, you want each entry to be in bullet points again, as this will help you to, not have to be very lengthy in your writing, but also to just list the important information in digestible amounts. So next we're going to look at the education section. Okay. So when you're including your educational background, it's important that you pay attention to where it's being placed. Right, guys? So if you have work experience, or for persons who have worked in the past, you'll want to place your education after the experience section. So after your professional experience section, right? If you've never worked before, you'll want to place your education at the top of the resume right after your career objective. Right? You also want to include any courses or any study paths that are still in progress. It's important to include it and also to let the hiring manager know when is your anticipated completion date. So for example, let's say, you've recently completed your CAPE studies and you've moved into doing your associate's degree. You're going to put that, you're doing your associate's degree in whatever field, and you are anticipating that this will be completed by September in 2027, right? This lets you Sure, go ahead.
Is volunteering also like work experience?
So we're actually going to cover volunteer experience in the next slide, but no, it's not like work experience. But if you don't have professional work experience, you can list it, but we'll speak a little bit more to it in the next slide. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going back to any studies that may be in progress. So perhaps you are doing your degree. You'll also want to include the anticipated date of completion, right? So the main reason for including this is to let the hiring manager know I am working on broadening my skill set, my experience, my, my readiness for this role. And while I may have classes, this is when I anticipate my classes will end. Okay. You'll also want to include any sort of certifications that you have completed. But again, you need to make sure that whatever you're putting on your resume is relevant, right? So certificates are also a great addition, and once it's relevant, include it on your resume. If it's not relevant, don't include it. So for example, perhaps you would have completed a short course, you would have done some sort of short course, and you received a certificate after in Power BI, right? Or perhaps some other type of digital tool or AI platform. Or perhaps you would have done a digital course on marketing, and you got a certificate. Once the job that you're applying for uses the skill set, you'll want to include it. So you may not necessarily want to include certificates that don't contribute to this job. For example, let's say you're applying to Scotiabank. We don't necessarily need to see that you would have done a certificate in culinary skills, or perhaps you would have done a certificate in, nail technician courses, right? So unless the skills that you're applying for is relevant, don't include it on your resume. Okay. All right, so I'm moving over to the volunteer experience. So Jolene, I know you were asking about the volunteer experience. So volunteer experience is different from professional experience. The reason being why is because volunteer experience is more ad hoc in terms of it's not very structured. It may have certain things that the NGO or the club wants to achieve, but it's not really organized in the sense that if it's not achieved, it may not impact wider strategies of the company, right? In terms of your professional experience, is more tied to the goal strategies of a company, and they tend to be very measurable, and quantitative. And a lot of times in companies as well, your professional experience is evaluated at the end of the year, and it speaks to your rating in terms of your performance for the year. Yeah. I hope that answers the question, Jolene. Right, so volunteer experience, where do you put this on your resume, right? The volunteer experience is usually placed after your education section. So the flow is that you want to put your professional experience, then you want to put your education, and then your volunteer experience, right? Your volunteer experience speaks to any identifying membership and posts that you would have held, and it allows you to showcase additional skills. So if, for example, I know some of you on the call would have mentioned that you've never worked, right? So you don't have any work experience. Volunteer experience can be important in this situation, as it shows that, hey, while I may not have worked, or while I don't have that professional work exposure, I have some of these skills that may be valuable to you because I've volunteered at X, Y, and Z, right? It shows that perhaps you may have learned some organizational skills from whatever volunteer experience you had. Perhaps you would have volunteered to be the PR person for a particular project or a particular, club that you're with. And through that, you would have learned how to do networking. You may have learned how to improve your communication skills. So let's say you are now applying to the bank and you are applying to be perhaps a teller with the bank. By looking at your volunteerism, we are able to see that you are able to interact with persons. You may not have had professional work experience, but you have had instances where you've interacted with persons and you seem to be able to hold your own, right? Volunteer experience is also very important because it shows your versatility. It shows that most of the time one person's have volunteer experience. It also shows that they have good time management skills because it shows that you are able to balance your work, your education, or your academics, as well as carving out some time to volunteer, right? So I know some of you may be listening to this and you're thinking, wow, I don't think I have any volunteer experience. So how do I use, is it too late for me to get volunteer experience? So definitely not, right? If you don't have volunteer experience, it's never too late. So definitely do some research and perhaps you can look at joining an organization today. Okay. So I know I'm going through a little bit quickly, guys, but I tend to speak quickly, right? So I'm heading into now some additional pro tips to give you on your resume, right? When you're submitting a resume or when you're completing a resume, you want to ensure that the information that you input is accurate, right? I can't stress this enough. I can't tell you guys how many times we've come across resumes where there's some sort of inaccuracy, and this can then limit your chances of being contacted, right? So you want to customize your identification information. You want to ensure that you include your name, your address, and your contact information on your resume, right? Definitely ensure that the spelling is correct, as well as the contact information is correct, right? You don't want to put your phone number. So perhaps you may have included your phone number, a digit is missing, or you included a phone number and for some reason, the calls are not going through to this number, right? Also, when you have your phone number listed, or if you know that you are submitting resumes or you are on the job market and you are submitting all those resumes, look into the process of putting a voicemail on your phone, right? So I know a lot of the younger generation or the younger persons may not necessarily activate their voicemail on their phone, right? But again, you remember recruiter is spending 6 seconds, right? We're spending 6 seconds to review your resume and possibly decide if to contact you or not. You don't want that if we contact you and we don't reach you, that we are just met with a beep or we're just met with, some loud background music or some noise that's really difficult. You're speaking on the voicemail, but it's really, really difficult to hear you, right? So the aim or the intention of the voicemail is to have a professional voicemail. You want to leave a message that encourages the recruiter to call you back. Right, guys? Okay. Moving on to now let's go back 1 second, please. Right. So in terms of your email now, it's very important, again, to list your email on your resume. So yes, you may have sent us your resume electronically via inbox, and you would have sent us through your email address. But sometimes, depending on the company's hiring practices and how they retrieve and store documents, we may not necessarily have that email address once it's been downloaded, right? So definitely include your email address on your resume. Again, you want to check and double check for accuracy and use a professional email address, right? I know many of us may have had those types of email address that were a bit more informal, but you really, really want to choose one that avoids any sort of nicknames, pet names, or any outdated hosting sites, right? So this is not the time where you put the resume like, you don't want to put, like babygirlriri@gmail.com, or you don't want to put, swanky Susan@gmail.com. These are not professional email addresses at all, right, guys? And imagine a recruiter looking at that. They're going to be like, really? Am I going to hire Swanky Susie, right? But so if you don't have it as yet, don't worry. Again, it's not too late. You can create a professional email address, preferably one that's using your name. So if your name, for example, if my name is Loretta Williams, I can say lorettawilliams@gmail.com, or perhaps some digits to try to get something as close to your name as possible, right? And again, you don't want to use outdated hosting sites. Apparently, AOL and Hotmail are now considered to be outdated, right, guys? Right. So again, heading back to the phone numbers, you want to limit the number of contact numbers that you have included on your resume. We don't want to see 4 numerous numbers to get you at, perhaps 1 and a backup. And please ensure that the backup knows that they are listed as a contact on your resume. Perhaps, it may be a parent or a grandparent. And they might be like, she not home. Like when we called, you would be like, she not home. She going in the grocery. Something like that. Just let them know to let us know to call you back. Right, guys? Another key thing that you should want to include on your resume would be your LinkedIn profile, right? But again, you're not going to include your LinkedIn profile if it's not up to date. So if it is you are including it on the resume, please update it. Okay, guys, we can move on. Okay, so again, when you are completing your resume, or you're building out your resume, you want to pay attention to the information that you are putting on it. Some companies may use programs to help them sort and filter resumes. So they may use automated tracking systems, which will filter out and would pay attention to keywords. And based on those keywords, they would sort your resumes, right? So if you put information that may be not those keywords, it could translate to your resume not being filtered in or sorted in for the position. Some resumes as well, sometimes persons tend to do resumes and they would omit references, or they may put, references are available upon request. How many of you have done that before? Do you usually put references on your resumes? No? Okay, Dominic says no. Seychelle said yes. Okay, some of you do, some of you don't. Okay. Right, so I'm seeing some mixed responses, so great, okay, that's okay. So you should really get in the habit of having references and listing them on your resume, right? It's important to show that you have persons in your network or in your community who can be called upon to provide character references for you, right? So if you don't have any references currently, start thinking about who are those persons that you can reach out to. References are great references, I should say instead, are usually past high school teachers or your past teachers. They would have spent a good portion of time with you, and they are able to speak to your character in school and how you would have progressed throughout the years. Yes, I'm seeing teachers, coaches, and mentors. Great. So if you haven't built that relationship as yet, reach out to your teachers. Say, Miss, I'm looking to start my work experience. I'm looking to start looking for jobs. Can I use you as a reference, right? Can I list your contact number, your personal cell contact number? Is that okay with you? So a lot of times, list your contact and list your reference and list their contact numbers as well. Another good person, I know someone mentioned as well, mentors and coaches, religious heads. So again, religious heads can be a bit subjective. Not all companies take religious heads as references. It all depends on the company that you're applying towards. Yeah. Okay. And again, too, another good reference would also be past employers. Yeah, so perhaps you would have worked, I know some of you mentioned, perhaps you worked at Massey, so perhaps your past supervisor at Massey would also be a good reference, right? So definitely speak to them. Yes, you may have left that job, and yes, you may have moved on, but persons, once they're interested in your growth, they would understand why you left, and they may be willing to speak to your work work ethic while you were with them. Okay. So again, let's say you've completed all of these steps, you've done everything, and you've perfected your resume. You think all of the information is pertinent, and everything on your resume is good to go, right? You don't want to submit your resume in that format. You don't want to submit it as a Word document. The reason being, in transmission, things tend to move. Sometimes, the company may not be using the same version of the program that you're using on your home laptop, on your home system. And once they open up the documents, things tend to shift, right? Things could get skewed and things can shift. So definitely, once you've completed your resume, save it as a PDF document. This helps to, keep everything in its place. And once it's sent to the company, it should open and be, it should have the least amount of shifting in that way. So again, recruiters, we do expect a standard format. We expect the resume to have a certain flow. And the last thing I want to include here is infographics, right? Do you think you should have infographics on a resume? Or pictures? Do you think pictures should be on a resume? Is this a spot where you have pictures? Okay, I'm seeing some no's. Seeing it depends. Okay. Believe so you can look creative. It depends. So yeah, so I think both answers are accurate. So it depends, right? In most resumes, the answer would be no, right? You don't want to have pictures. It can be distracting. It could also create a bias in the hiring manager's mind, and you want your resume to be the most unbiased thing possible, right? However, if you know you're applying to a certain segment, perhaps you're applying, to be a graphic designer, or you're applying for some sort of marketing and you need a professional headshot. Definitely, those are things when you may want to include photos and pictures because it speaks directly to your skill set, right? Okay. So guys, I know we've gone through a lot. It was a lot of information to take in terms of, the format of your resume, the type of information that you include, what you don't include, and how your resume should look. What I'm going to do with you now is I'm going to show you an example of a resume, right? We're going to look at the sample, and then I'm going to invite you to unmute and share your thoughts on what can be done to improve the resume. So I know it's a bit small, right? So I'm just going to give you the general information of what is on your resume. Actually, I'll let you go through it first. So I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to run through the information on your resume, make some notes of what you think was done well and what was not done well with this resume. And then we'll come back. Do you all want me to go through anything? Because I know it's very, very small. Yes? All right. So let me
see if I
just go
could.
through.
Is that okay?
Yeah, but we only seen a little piece of it.
I could probably do one page at a time.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So I'll just go through it as well. So this resume was 6 pages long, right? The first section of the resume that's covered in black is where the person would have listed their personal information. So it would have had their name, their address, their contact information, their email address, right? Then they went into their mission statement. right? They would have listed the mission statement. So you can take a little view of the mission statement. Tell me which is the same thing as your career objective, right? And tell me what you think about the career objective based on what I told you it should be. They also went into their educational background. They listed their schools and the time that they spent in each school. Right after the educational background, they went into their working experience. Right, so page 3, which is the middle column there, speaks to their working experience. They would have only worked at 2 places. Right, yeah, now you could scroll a little bit to the second part. Yeah, great. So page 3 there speaks to their working experience. They would have worked at 1, 2, 3 places. Okay. After the work experience, continuing into page 4 is also work experience. Look at that, right? So this person worked at a couple places, right? So they went into more work experience again. And then on page 5, they listed under other information, right? They would have listed some things in terms of, various things they would have done in school. They were a school prefect. They are part of, a club at their old secondary school. They have volunteerism. They listed any proficiencies that they had in terms of computer skills, Microsoft Suite, right? And, oops, I lost it. And any key skills that they have in terms of time management, organizational skills, etc. They also listed hobbies, their date of birth, their sex, and their religion on the resume. And this person also listed references as well, which is in the last section there that was blacked out as well. Yeah. Okay. So looking at the resume, I'm now going to go through the chat a little bit, but anyone wants to unmute and tell me what they think about this resume, or tell us, sorry, what they think about this resume? Seeing some person saying it's a bit long. Someone says this is an essay. Okay.
It's lengthy.
It's lengthy. Okay,
The
great.
mission statement is definitely long, and also it has plenty different types of working experiences. So I don't know particularly what they trying to aim for. It's all over the place. Like I need one specific set of skills.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, we can see that, right? This resume, while the person may have done it with some order, it seems a bit all over the place, as you said, right? It's like, I'm not sure really and truly, and 6 pages is long, right? 6 pages is really, really long. And there's a lot of unnecessary information. So yes, definitely, I agree with that. Sure.
Is it required to have your religion on your resume?
No. So it's actually better if you don't have it.
Yeah. I was watching that and I was confused.
Yeah, because that's a bit of over information. I mean, it's not really something that you have to include on your resume. Unless, like, perhaps you're applying for a specific job that requires that. Perhaps, you're applying for a job through one of those schools that is part of a board or something like that. And, it's affiliated with a specific religion. Maybe you may be required to list things like that on your resume. Right, so we're going over to critique this resume now. So you feel free to stop me at any time. Right, so guys, so it's definitely too long. 6 pages is overkill, right? The mission statement is too lengthy. This person had, I'm sure it's about 4 or 5 sentences in this mission statement. I'm trying to zoom it on my side a little bit to tell you what it's saying, right? So this person would have said their mission statement is to enhance my knowledge and understanding of, as well as gain experience in all positions I may occupy, while building my existing skills of excellent communication, leadership, and teamwork, as well as gain new skills and experience that will aid me in becoming an indispensable asset to my employer. I believe I possess an excellent skill set that allows me to function in any environment, as well as the ability to adapt and lead if called upon. Attached is my final student transcript for the program, I've just completed my Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and I'm happy to provide you with further information upon request. Thank you for your consideration. So we can definitely see too much information there, right? And it kind of takes away from the essence of the impact that you want to leave with your career objective. Yeah. So this person, they have work experience. Was a work experience listed or was it placed in the correct place on your resume? How short should the mission statement be? So it should be 1 to 2 sentences maximum. You really don't want to have anything more than that. Guys, do you think the work experience is placed in the right place on your resume? Should it be after the education section or should it be before? Before. Okay, great. So definitely, because you want your work experience to speak to your, in essence, for a better, and feeling to get a better word, you want it to speak to your experience, right? So you want your career objective or your mission statement first, and then you want your work experience, right? Again, they could have found, yes, they would have used bullets and, some sort of number and format, but they could have also found a better way to condense that information and perhaps limit the spacing between the words and the sentences. And this could have, saved them some space in terms of getting to so many pages. Yeah. It seems like they listed their work experience in reverse chronological order, right? They would have started with their most recent, working backwards to show, the time that they spent in the various companies and the position that they held. They also listed some of the key responsibilities they were responsible or accountable for, right? Looking at the education section, do you think that was covered well or done well? Column format as well. Okay, yes. And also it should be again in reverse chronological, right? So you should have listed your university degree first, and then you could have listed, where they would have done CAPE or perhaps where they did CSEC. Didn't really need to know your primary school. I mean, it's not necessarily important that you include it here because we won't really go that far back, right? This person would have also listed their CSEC subjects and their grades, which is can be important in some companies, right? So some companies do want to see a breakdown of your subjects and your grades. If you don't list it, that's okay. Sometimes we will call to get the information that we need from you as well, right? So yes, again, the educational background, it is a bit too detailed, and it also should have been placed after the professional experience. And then moving over to the last part, right? In terms of the, in terms of the other information that they would have listed. So they spoke about volunteerism, they spoke about hobbies, right? Is there any opportunity there to condense that information? Or should it even be there?
I'm not too sure if you should have hobbies there if they're not pertaining to the job that you're actually looking to get.
Yeah. And even if you do list it, it's taking up too much space, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way you can list that and not use 8 lines, right? So hobbies is it can be good to list because it shows that you do things other than the structured, strenuous things in your life. You do have avenues to decompress. But again, it's all about the format in use as well and the amount of space that you're taking up to use to include this information. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
So
one thing is the other information, maybe the volunteer work, but the club membership and the prefect, I don't think most of the time they would really be looking for that?
The prefect under the other situation, other information, sorry?
Yes.
So actually listing that you are a school prefect is good information because it shows that while you may not have had a quote unquote leadership experience in your formal work environment, perhaps you would have just been a cashier or a CSR, you do have some sort of leadership exposure in a different setting. So that's good information to include. So that's why things like prefects, or perhaps you're in some sort of leadership role in a club or a community, is important to add. Yeah, I hope I answered your question. So now I'm going to show you guys a second resume, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to critique it and tell me what you think was done well and what was not done well. Okay. Someone is asking if a page to a page and a half resume is too short. So no, it isn't. All right. I know this may be a bit small again for you guys, so let me try to just share a bit in terms of what it's saying, right? So this resume, again, we would have redacted the person's personal information. They would have listed their objective, which is like the career objective, to the top right-hand corner. Directly below that is your experience. They also listed other activities or accomplishments that they would have been a part of. Hobbies are there as well, still within the right column at the bottom. To the left-hand side, on the left column, they would have listed their education, and they would have also listed some key skills that they think was important for the hiring manager to know. And the last bit of information that is redacted is the references section. Right? So how do you all feel about this resume? So someone is saying, Ashley is saying it's one page, so that's good.
I guess it's kind of better formatted, but I think it could be more pleasing to the eye. We spruce it up a bit.
Sure. So Shakira is saying it looks very clustered. Okay. Organization, but not the text spacing. Okay, sure. And definitely confirm me. Okay. Resume is great, except that the objective experience and adult should have been before the education and hobbies was not needed. All right. So this is actually an example of a much better resume. So definitely once you're doing your resume, you should aim to have it on one page. So one page does not mean one side of a page. One page can be one page front and back, right? You really and truly don't want your resume to be longer than that. So aim to try and get that sweet spot of one page, right? This person used their space wisely in that you can clearly see that they are working at Pennywise, and they are a sales clerk with Pennywise. They are responsible they listed the three main things that they are responsible for doing, right? They also listed their objective, which is like the career objective again, and it speaks to why they want to work with us, right? The other activities, so even though I did tell you to put your experience and then put your education after the experience, this format works as well because the experience is a bit higher than the education. So you can see that it captures it captures your view first, right? So it is highlighted as it's slightly above the education section. In terms of the other activities and accomplishments, they did list the other activities that they were involved in. They were involved in various clubs. They would have done beach cleanups, and they're part of the track team. they would have listed as well the time that they spent in these clubs. But again, the information there could have been condensed a little bit. It doesn't have to be so much, but perhaps this person doesn't have much of work experience. So, they were just trying to fill up the space on your resume based on the format that they used. In terms of their academic pursuits, this person also listed their subjects and the level of completed. So they completed their CXC as well as their CAPE. They would have listed the CXC first and the CAPE second. So perhaps, the reverse would have been better to list the CAPE first and then your CXC. They listed each individual subject and the grade, which is good. Again, some companies do want to see this, especially at Scotiabank. We do want to see this as well. We want to see the subjects that you wrote and the grades that you would have received. Right? What we don't want to see is just listing the subjects. Some persons, to fill up space on your resume, they would just list the subjects, or perhaps they would, even at the CAPE level, they would list Environmental Science, Unit 1 and Unit 2, or PE, Unit 1 and Unit 2. Yes, we know you had to do Unit 1 and Unit 2, but telling us Unit 1 and Unit 2 doesn't add any value to your resume. What adds the value is telling us the grades that you would have received. Right? This person also listed the key skills in terms of customer service, communication, organization. These are the types of skills that they would have derived from their present work experience. And it kind of helps you just to eyeball quickly the skill set that this person has and how it can align to an organization such as Scotiabank. Right? And again, they would have had their references with their contacts and numbers to reach them at. So I know some of you would have mentioned that, this resume, it seems a bit outdated and, in terms of formatting and the font. So yes, it is a bit outdated. It is an old resume that we would have used, but at the same time, it also captures the gist of what a resume should aim to be, right? Again, you have a lot of tools at your disposal. I mean, you have a lot of technology at your fingertips to help you spruce up your resume. That's all well and fine. You can definitely use those tools. But again, just try to ensure that you capture the main thing, or when you're doing your resume, you remember the main thing is the order in which you have your things and the length of the resume, right? And once you're covering the key things, you're covering your objective, your experience, your education, any additional information, or your volunteerism, and your references, you should be good to go. Yeah? So I am going to stop at this point, right? And I'm going to pass you over to Naz. She's going to take you through the second part of our presentation today. Yes?
All
Any
right,
questions for me before we go? Or anything you all just wanted clarification on before we went on? No? Okay, all right, great. So I'm handing over to Naz.
Lorette, just give me 1 sec because I just need to toggle something. Just give me 1 sec.
Sure.
Excuse, I have a question.
Sorry, sure. Go ahead.
So somebody once told me that something that would stand out on a resume are goals. If possible, like would that be a good thing to put? Like maybe if you listed short but goals that align with the job, would that be good to stand out on a resume?
Goals. You can, but again, you just want to ensure that everything that you're putting on your resume has value, right? Because again, it's a very small space that you're working with. I would say if you have to include a goal, just make it a one-liner, and include it in the career objective part as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, I was trying to see if I would see the chat, but Lorette, you might have to help me out here with just answering any questions. All right, so guys, can we get some applause, some thumbs up for Loretta's presentation? I'm sure you got a ton of information about resume writing. Loretta, you're getting the thumbs up and the claps?
Yes, I get all the love. Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
Good. So, because I can't see the screen, guys, so if I ask any questions, I'll ask you guys to unmute and or put it in the chat, and Loretta will just handle the questions in the chat. All right. So, Loretta mentioned there are a ton of resources that would help you now to prepare your resume. So let's talk a little bit about ChatGPT and other AI tools. Now, some of you may already use ChatGPT for schoolwork, ideas, or even to just help explain things in a simpler way, correct? I'm hoping I'm seeing some nods, right? And when it comes to resumes, it could actually be a useful tool. So one of the biggest advantages of a resume and of an AI tool is that it saves time. Sometimes, you want to know what to say, but you don't know how to say it properly. And ChatGPT or Claude or there are a ton of AI tools, Copilot. All of them can help you turn your thoughts into a clear sentence or a strong bullet point. And it could also help to make your resume sound more consistent. For example, let's say one bullet point sounds really professional and the next one sounds too casual. AI could help clean up the wording so that everything flows much better. And another benefit is that it could help you customize your resume. So if you're applying for a customer service job, you could put in the prompt to say, okay, can you help me highlight communication and problem solving? If you're applying for an internship, it can help you focus on your school projects, any volunteer work, or even skills that you're building. But the key thing to remember is this: the AI tools should help you. It should not replace you. Your resume still needs to sound like you, and it has to be truthful to your experience. So let's look at the cons of all the AI tools, right? Now, even though we know the AI tools could be helpful, we also have to be very, very careful because sometimes it might sound a little too generic. Remember, if you don't garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you give them, and I'm saying them, but if you give the tools uh, a prompt that is not specific, it's going to give you something, it's going to give you a resume that is not specific. So personal or unique to you. All right. And another issue is that the AI tools can make mistakes. It might add skills you don't actually have or describe an experience in a way that is not fully accurate. And that could be a problem because if you put something on your resume, you need to be able to speak about it in the interview. So we're going to cover interview skills in a bit. But when we read a resume, and Lorette would have mentioned, we read that in 6 seconds. But then we need you, when we call you about your resume, you need to be able to speak to your resume. So, and you need to be able to speak about it honestly. All right. So, another thing is that the AI tools may not fully understand the job or the industry that you're applying to. So the wording might look good, but it may not be the best fit for that particular opportunity. So the simple rule: don't copy and paste without reading. You could use AI for the ideas, and you need to always check the information, edit the wording, and make sure it reflects your actual skills and experience. So think of the AI tools as a helpful assistant. It could give you a good start, but you still have to make the resume your own. All right. So let's talk about finding vacancies. So now that we've spoken about resumes, where are you going to find these opportunities? A lot of people look only in one place, but when you're job hunting, like I suspect some of you might be doing, you want to look at many places. All right. So online job boards are a good starting point. You want to check sites like Caribbean Jobs, LinkedIn, and other job sites where employers post their vacancies. But you don't want to stop there, right? You should visit the company websites directly. Sometimes the companies post jobs on their own websites before they put them anywhere else. So if there's a company you like, go to their website and look for a section called careers, jobs, or join our team. And you'll see like the jobs listed there. I think we have a couple at Scotiabank as well that we do. All right. Social media can be also useful. You need to follow the companies, the recruiters, even the job pages on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, right? You may see the internships, entry level jobs, or even training opportunities posted there. Even career fairs are also really, really good because, especially for young people, because even if you don't get a job on the spot, you could meet employers, ask questions, and learn what exactly they are looking for, right? So you can also check government and public sector portals for youth programs, internships, or even entry level opportunities. And don't underestimate the value of networking. And networking is simply just talking to people. You need to reach out to your teachers, your family, any friends, mentors. Let them know that you're looking for an opportunity. Sometimes somebody might hear something and recommend you. And Loretta would have spoken about volunteering and internships. And these are also important. Even if it's not your dream job, it helps you gain that experience, meet people, and it helps you build your resume. So the thing is, don't wait for opportunities to find you. Go looking for them in more than one place. All right, so we're going into interviewing skills. And let me ask you a quick question. When you hear the word interview, what comes to mind? Feel free to put it in the chat, or if you want to unmute.
No, Christiana seeing fear.
Okay.
Miss
I mean, that's
Interrogation.
valid. Oh, wow.
No.
Okay. That's valid. Those are very good, valid responses, right? As soon as you hear interview, you're thinking, "Oh my dear God," you start to get nervous one time, and that is actually completely normal. Most people feel nervous before an interview, even people who have been working for years. I can tell you for a fact, if Loretta and I had to go for an interview now, even though we have been recruiters for years, we would still be nervous. Loretta, am I right in that?
Definitely. It's
Okay,
never
all
easy
right.
being on the side of the table.
Correct. So the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be prepared. I'm going to say that again. The goal is to be prepared. An interview, you need to look at it as a professional conversation. So it's a conversation, yes, but it's a professional conversation. The employer wants to get to know more about you, and you also want to get a chance to learn more about the job. So in this section, we're going to talk about how to prepare, how to answer questions, and how to handle virtual interviews and how to leave a good impression. So let's go to improving your knowledge. Before you attend an interview, you need to do some preparation. Start by researching the company. You don't need to know every single detail, but you should know the basics. What does the company do? What are the products or services that they offer? What do they seem to care about? And this helps because it shows the interviewer that you made an effort. And I mean, you need to stroke the interviewer's ego a little bit. When we do a call and we hear people telling us about our core values, we will be like, oh wow, you researched us. I mean, there is nothing better than an interviewee telling you about the company and what impressed them about your company. And again, it shows you made an effort. It helps you to answer the questions better. So, for example, instead of saying, I just want a job when they ask you, you could say, I'm interested in this role because I enjoy working with people and I saw that customer service is important to your company. Right? You need to be ready to sell yourself. Now, when I say sell yourself, you don't want to brag. You're not going in there to be like, yeah, I'm the best thing since sliced bread, but you need to speak confidently about what you can bring. Because remember, they don't know you. So you need to highlight your accomplishments. Maybe you're responsible or, good with people. You learn quickly. You need to think about all your strengths and prepare examples that show them. Also, you need to think from the interviewer's point of view. Ask yourself, what sort of person would they want for this role? What skills are going to matter? Then you need to prepare examples that match those skills. So everybody is familiar with a SWOT analysis? Yeah, no? Thumbs up?
Sorry, I'm on mute. Yes, some persons are aware.
Okay, good,
Getting
good,
a
good,
few
good.
no's and a couple thumbs up. Yeah.
All right, good. So this is a personal SWOT analysis that you're going to do, right? For those of you who you're seeing this term for the first time, SWOT it sounds like a really big fancy schmancy business term, but it's actually very simple. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, your strengths are the things you do well. Maybe you communicate well, you're organized, or you're good with technology, or you work well with others. Your weaknesses would be the areas that you still need to improve, and everybody has weaknesses. So maybe you get nervous speaking in public, or maybe you need to manage your time better. The opportunities are the things that could help you grow. So that could be a course or an internship, a mentor, or even this workshop. And the threats are things that could get in your way. For example, poor preparation, a lack of experience, or not knowing where to find opportunities. So do this analysis before the interview so that you could help understand yourself better. So when an interviewer asks you about your strengths or asks you about your opportunities or what you're working on improvement, you don't have to panic. You already have thought about it. And if they ask you, just as a side note here, if they ask you about a weakness, like saying that you tend to, just don't say you tend to ramble, right? You need to also say what you are doing to improve on your communication skills. So yes, I know I'm aware that I ramble sometimes when I'm nervous. However, I've started a communication course, or I've started going to a Toastmasters meeting that helps me hone in on my communication skills. Now, in interviews, you're going to have different types of questions. The first type of questions would be traditional. So these are the basic, direct questions like, tell me about yourself. And everybody needs to have a good tell me about yourself opening line. I think no matter where you go in whatever organization you apply to, that is going to be their first question, or at least one of the questions they ask, right? And they're going to ask, well, why do you want this job? So these questions help the interviewer learn more about you. Now, the second type of question is a situational question. These ask, what would you do in a certain situation? So, for example, what would you do if a customer was upset? Or what would you do if you had a deadline and needed help? So the interviewer wants to understand how you think and how you would handle these real situations. Okay, because it's like us. If you're applying to say a bank teller at Scotiabank, we want to know when you have long lines out the door and a customer comes up to you and they're upset, how are you gonna handle it? All right. Even though you don't have that experience, you need to be able to think on your feet and be like, okay, I don't have any experience in this, but this is how I would handle it. And those are situational questions. The third type of interview questions would be behavioral. Now, these ask about something you've already done. So, for example, tell me about a time you worked in a team, or describe a time you solved a particular problem. So, for these questions, you could use examples from school if you don't have any work experience, any sort of group projects. And this is where volunteering also comes in handy, because Lorette would have mentioned, volunteering would also give you qualities or experiences that would help you showcase your strengths. And even as a prefect, you could draw on those experiences to say, okay, well, listen, I have this leadership experience that you are looking for. I was a prefect, I was in charge of at least 2 forms. So I was able to handle difficult situations with the younger students. And it doesn't always have to be formal work experience. Draw on the group projects, the volunteering, all of those things, right? The important thing is that you give a real example and explain what you did. Now, sometimes the hardest part of an interview is not that you don't know the answer, is that you didn't prepare how to say the answer. So that's why it helps to prepare. So that word is coming up again. You need to prepare a few short stories before the interview. Think of examples again from school, from any past work experience, from volunteering, or your group projects. And prepare one example about teamwork, about one solving a problem, or even one handling a challenge, and even about something you learned. When you answer, try to give enough detail so that the interviewer understands the situation, but you don't want to make the answer too long, because then, people, especially if your interview is before lunch, the interviewer might get distracted because they're thinking about what they want to eat for lunch if you are making the response too long. All right. Keep it to the point. And of course, you need to give the amount of details in there as well. So, a good answer, it usually explains 3 things: what happened, what you did, and what the result was. So just to hammer that home, it needs to be what happened. That's how the response is going to be structured. What happened, what you did when the situation happened, and what the result was. And that is important. The result is so very important, because when they ask you, you give the whole scenario, but you don't give what was the outcome of how you made the situation better. So always say what the result was. So, for example, don't just say, I'm good at teamwork. Say something like, in a school project, I helped divide the work among the group, followed up with my teammates, and we completed the assignment on time. So you said what happened, you had a school project, you said what you did, you helped divide up the schoolwork, and what the result was. We completed the assignment on time. We're okay with that? Okay. Now, that kind of answer would give the interviewer a clear picture of your skills, and try as much as possible to use examples that are recent and appropriate. Keep it professional, school related, work related, or community related. You don't want to dive into the personal for this part. All right, for when you're given a response. Now, virtual interview tips. Now, these are very common now, virtual interviews, and you need to be able to know how to handle them properly. So, even though you may be doing the interview from home, it is still a real interview. So, test your technology before the interview. Loretta and I try to do it, but you know, there are limitations. But the thing is, you need to test your microphone, test your headphones, make sure you are hearing. Make sure your internet is working, your camera is on and it is working, and that your microphone works and your device is charged. You don't want to be in the middle of an interview and your laptop just goes kaput, so your phone just dies on you, right? If you are using headphones or a headset, that would be able to help you hear clearly and reduce the background noise. Because right now there's thunder and lightning by me, and I'm pretty sure you all aren't hearing it. I hope you all aren't hearing it. Okay, so try to choose a quiet space. I know that's not always easy, especially if other people are home, but do your best to reduce distractions. And also check to see what's behind you. It doesn't have to look fancy, but it should be neat. All right. And especially with the quiet place, it sometimes it's unavoidable where you hear the truck with the old iron and battery buying man passing, or somebody selling watermelon outside and they're tooting their horn. That's why it's so important to have your headphones on to reduce that outside noise. All right. Now, you should always dress professionally. Remember, this is still an interview. Even if only your top half is showing, it'll help you to feel more prepared and it'll give a better impression. So even though you want to have professional on the top and party on the bottom, you just make sure that whatever part is showing on camera, that it looks professional. When you're speaking, try to look into the webcam and not just at yourself on the screen. That it makes it feel a little bit more like eye contact. All right. And just like in the in-person interview, prepare in advance. You want to know the company, know the role, and have your examples ready. Now, the most important thing, I'm going to say this, you need to be yourself, because prepared and genuine is always better than just trying to sound perfect. All right? Just be yourself as much as possible. Now, this one, listen carefully and answer the question being asked. Sometimes we get nervous in interviews. I mean, it's inevitable. And while the interviewer is still asking the question, we are already thinking about what to say. But when we do that, we could miss key parts of the question. So take your time. Listen first, then answer. Also, don't just hear one word and then you assume you know what they're asking. For example, if you hear the word teamwork, don't just rush into any teamwork story. Listen to whether they're asking about a challenge, a success, or a time they had conflict in a team. If you don't understand the question, it's always okay to ask for clarification. You could say, can you please repeat the question? Or just to make sure I understand, are you asking? And then you paraphrase the question back to them. That is much better than answering the wrong question. And you know what? It could buy yourself a little bit of time as well. You could say, all right, okay, that's a very good question. You mind just repeating it for me again? And when you respond, be clear and specific. Give an example as much as possible, and then explain how you handle the situation. Remember, interviewers don't only want to hear what happened, they want to know what you did and how you did it. Now, at the end of the interview, the interviewer may ask, "Do you have any questions for us?" I know many people will just want to rush out of that room and be like, "Oh, it's okay, I'm good, I'm good." And you don't want to do that, right? Asking a question shows that you're interested and you've thought about the opportunity. So you could ask something like, well, what are the learning and development opportunities that are available at your company? This shows that you want to grow within the company that you have applied for. You could ask also, how does this role contribute to the company overall? And that shows, well, okay, I'm trying to understand the bigger picture. All of these are impressive questions, by the way. And another good question is, what would outstanding performance look like in this role? That tells the interviewer, you just don't want to perform, you want to give an outstanding performance. You want to excel in this role. All right. Now, your questions don't have to be complicated, they don't have to be fancy, they just need to be thoughtful. And a good tip would be to prepare at least 2 questions before the interview, because sometimes your questions end up being answered during the conversation. And yes, I'm referring to the interview as a conversation. Now, at the beginning, try not to focus only on salary. Yes, we know you want the job because you want to be able to eat and afford your rent or your mortgage. But don't just focus on that. Don't just focus on the benefits or when next you could get vacation. You could only if the interviewer asks, then you could probably, continue the conversation. But try not to focus too much on it. All right. Start with questions about the role, the team, and the expectations. Now we're going to go into digital presence. Now, this is so important, especially we're living in a digital age. Your digital presence is basically how you show up online. And that includes your social media, your LinkedIn profile, things you post and things you comment on, and even sometimes other things that people tag you in. So sometimes you didn't even post something, but your BFF tags you in a post that is very questionable. So the reality is that recruiters and employers, they may search for candidates online, right? So before you apply for jobs, take a look at your accounts, because yes, Sexy Susie has that email address, but Sexy Susie may also have an Instagram that is very questionable. So look at your accounts and ask yourself, would I be comfortable if an employer saw this? If the answer is no, then it's time to clean up your page or adjust your privacy settings. Yes, I know we are chronically online now and you want to put everything out there, but remember, job hunting, you need to still project that professional image. All right. And that doesn't mean you can't have fun online. You could still have a personality, but you just have to be careful with the inappropriate posts. And you don't want to get into a public argument, right? On Twitter, we're famous for arguing back and forth about different beliefs. You don't want to put any offensive comments or cause any online drama, because those things could create a negative impression. Your online presence helps because you could post about your achievements, your school projects, any things that you're learning, right? And LinkedIn is especially useful because it works like a digital resume. Everything is there right on LinkedIn. And of course, you're adding in your education experience and skills and a